A great friend of mine just asked me, what is the best English version to read the Bible? Maybe you're going to do your Bible reading plan. Maybe you're going to be reading the Bible through the year, or you want to do Bible studies and you just wanted to figure out what is the best English version to be reading. You may find GNT, NIV, or New King James Version, or King James Version, HCSB, and all of those. What I would say, and what I recommended him, and the version that I've been using for so many years, I've been doing all of my yearly plan, Bible reading plans, for years and years using this one. The version is HCSB, Holman Christian Standard Bible. And the reason why I picked this one is because it has an amazing combination of a literal translation with a interpreted translation. Like all of the versions, at least most of them, of course we always have exceptions for everything, they function differently, they play differently, different roles, and they are intended for different purposes. Some of the versions are intended to focus on a literal translation. Some of them are focusing on a more interpreted translation. What do I mean by that? Sometimes you're gonna hear something someone said years ago, let's say 50 years ago, and you're not going to be able to understand because it's outdated. You're not using that anymore. Maybe if you're talking to your grandparents, you're going to look at them and say, hey, what do you mean by that? I never used that word. What is that word? What does this expression mean? Languages are changing constantly, throughout the years. And the same thing happens when we're reading something from 5,000 years ago, from 2,000 years ago. When we're talking about the Old Testament, we may find things from 4,000 years ago, and that's, wow, a long time ago. So when you're translating it, the focus is conveying the message. Sometimes the reader is not going to be able to understand if you use the same words that the speaker was using or wrote. Let's say the author. For example, Solomon wrote in Ecclesiastes 11, throw your bread into the water. What does he mean by that? That's a literal translation of the text. What does it mean? You may enjoy listening, hearing, and reading the same words, so you may interpret it and be able to figure out what the author meant. But some people are not going to be able to make this interpretation, and they would like to understand the message, let's say, interpreted by someone. What does this metaphor mean? What does this group of words or sentence, or what does this sentence mean? And then some translators are gonna say, invest your money, and if I'm not wrong, I would say it's GNT that says invest your money in several places, in foreign trades. In some versions you're gonna read throw or cast thou bread into the water. Wow, that's very different. You see, there is a the difference in the translation seems to be maybe if you're looking at the translation, you're going to say this one is wrong and this one is right. That's not what's happening. When you are interpreting the text and translating using your interpretation, you may jeopardize the meaning of the text, but you may convey the message more easily to those who are listening and reading. However, if you bring the literal words and literal translation word for word, people may not understand. So when reading the Bible, you should be able to figure out and decide, which one am I going to pick? I'm going to pick this one who is interpreting the text to me, so it may be easier and my reading may flow faster. Or no, I'm going to get this one which brings a former, an ancient, even if I cannot understand the words word for word, I want to be able to grasp the meaning from what the author said. So that's going to be a little harder if you're starting to read the Bible, or if you're not acquainted to those words and the context. You may find it harder to understand the Bible. That's one of the reasons why so many people start reading the Bible and then they stop, or they just can't keep on. Oh, I just can't bear with these hard texts, and I just don't get the meaning, because the translation is tough. So what I say is HCSB, they make a very good combination of both. They mix them both. Sometimes you're going to read it and you're going to see, wow, in my New King James Version, it's not the same as the HCSB. But now I can see why this is going on here. And that's why it's really good to compare different versions. What is really powerful is going into the original, understanding the meaning of the words, what ancient people used to mean with those words, be able to interpret all of those things. But that's a whole process that would take you maybe years and years. and many other people have been going through it and putting their interpretation into the text. The dangers of that is that some of them are gonna be changing the meanings of the author, not on purpose, but because of their own interpretation of that. But the problem with the other side is that you may not be able to understand. That's why I recommend you to use HCSB version, because it's a mix of literal translation with a interpreted translation. You're going to be able to understand the Bible and at the same time to see what the... And also, if you find the HCSB Bible, there's a very thick one, HCSB Study Bible. You may be able to read while you're reading through. You're going to see some capitalized letters, A, B, or C, and then you're going to be referred to a ribbon horizontal, like a yellow horizontal ribbon, where they point. A literal translation for this would be, another possible translation would be. So I definitely recommend this HCSB Study Bible and also the HCSB version of the Bible, so you may understand scriptures. If you're looking for a deeper study, you may go through the literal translations, but be aware that it may be harder to get the meanings.